Welcome back to the basement. On this episode, I'm going to continue work on the workbench that's going to go in the new shop where all future build projects on this channel are going to take place. Let's get to it. Oh, and by the way, I messed this thing all the way up. Alright, so I made a router sled out of some 1x4s and some angle iron from a bed frame that I had laying around. Basically, I'm using a router that was made in 1969. It's an old Craftsman router handed down to me by my father, and I wanted to see if I could get it to work and use it to level this top to the workbench. This is a common practice to level large slabs, is to use a router sled, and here I'm using a 3/4 inch mortising bit in order to just try and skim the high spots on this piece of poplar in the middle of the bench top. And things are working well so far. I noticed the big problem I made with this router sled is I didn't make it long enough. I should have made this sled, at least the rails that it slides on, at least as long as the bench top.
Say about that?
I'm lucky nobody got hit with this, because that would have sucked. So here you see me skimming off just the top edge of the poplar and just taking off, just inching my way down on the depth on the router bit. And each pass I take across the entire slab is just a little bit more. I start going about a 1/16 to 1/8 of an inch at a time until I start hitting all of the boards all at once. So here I'm setting it up to take the deepest pass that's actually going to hit all 7 boards. So far so good. Taking off a little bit more than I want to get down to that lowest spot, and that's what I'm referencing the depth of the bit off of, is the lowest spot at this point, because I've cleared off all the really high spots. But it's really showing how bad a job I did in getting the glue joint seams as flat as possible for the glue up, and the lack of clamps that I had when I did it. I only had 1 clamp per linear foot of length on this bench top, and I really needed to have about twice that. Now here's where you start seeing some mistakes. So every time I move the slab to get to the other half of it with the router sled, I have to re-level it. And every time I re-level it, the bit depth is never right. It never matches the previous pass that I'm trying to continue. So I have to go and readjust it, and it's really, really difficult to get it just perfect. So now I'm checking for level and adjusting the bit down just a little bit more. because I didn't take enough off of that that one edge. Need to get down a little bit more. And I'm intending to use this part of the bench top as the bottom, so this would be the side facing the ground. I figured there's less risk of making a mistake on the bottom, so I get my practice run using the router sled on the bottom of the bench top. So now I'm taking a hand plane and I'm just trying to scuff out some of the machining marks from the router bit. Not trying to get it perfect. Again, I'm intending for this to be the bottom of the bench, but I do want at least the spots where I'm going to be putting mortise and tenon joints in for the legs to be as smooth and as flat as possible. So I'm just kind of scrub planing with this number 4 Harbor Freight jack plane. So now I've got most of the high spots planed out, left by the router. I'm actually kind of pleased with how it turned out. I only had one real mistake on the bottom where the bit depth wasn't quite right, aside from the bit flying off entirely, which was definitely a dangerous proposition. Pretty pleased with it. So there you can see the mistake. So what I did is the next day got a little cocky with my technique, and I went ahead and started using the jig on the top of the table. And I had a couple instances where the bit loosened out. It didn't fly off, but you see that one top edge, it chunked out, and then it slipped down on that same pass after I thought I had tightened it. But the big thing is the thickness wasn't the same. So even though I had it level and shimmed up, I ended up having one end of the tabletop end up being about a 1/4 inch thinner than the other. So I went out and got some more pallet wood, because I'm gonna have to redo this. I have to start completely from scratch and make a new slab. So I went out and got some more pallets from the local warehouse that's been supplying me with these free pallets. And I noticed some of these larger skids had actually bigger timber in it for the rails. So I grabbed as much of those as I could. You can see the thicker ones on the left-hand side. What I made the first top out of was those on the right-hand side. So I'm going to try and make the top over again, because I want it to be a lot thicker than that ended up being. I had to take way too much off because I didn't do a good job in getting those glue joints as perfectly flat as possible. So, got to start the project all over, kind of live and learn. Like I said, I'm learning these things as I go, and I'm working with terrible wood. I mean, this is free scrap pallet wood. So my expectations should be pretty low.
So that's pretty much going to wrap it up for this episode of The Basement. Let me know what you think. Is this something that you would want to see more videos of, the process of me building this workbench, or is it not music oriented enough to go on this channel? You just want to see the finished project once it's all done? Granted, this is going to be a centerpiece for future build projects on the channel, so just let me know what you think, and I'll definitely take it into consideration. So with that, thank you so much for watching. If you found this useful or found it entertaining, please like the video, subscribe, and send some more people to the channel. This is a teeny tiny little baby channel, and it'd be great to see if we can get some more support for it. So thanks again. We'll see you on the next episode.